Hello once again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get into this week's episode, we of course want to give a wonderful thanks to those who have been helping us bring the show to you for free on whichever podcast platform you choose to listen. Thanks to Smokin' Jay's Barbecue. You've had their delicious food at AIW shows. You can certainly get it at their own location now. You can go to Massillon, Ohio, if you're in that area, and you can get some Smokin' Jay's. You don't have to just wait for an AIW show. They've got pickup. They're doing DoorDashing and Uber Eats. It's all ready to go. Go to Smokin_Jays, Jays, BBQ on Instagram or Twitter. Get more information and check out their menu and see what's available to you. And of course, hey, thanks to the merger between SmartMark Video and IWTV, watching AIW has never been easier. You can go to smartmarkvideo.com and purchase DVDs or MP4s of basically anything ever recorded and put out for purchase by AIW. And of course, sign up at independentwrestling.tv. It's just $9.99, and you get to watch countless hours of independent wrestling. Not just AIW, though we do have a rotating archive there, but so many other independent wrestling promotions, including original series from IWTV. Use the code ABSOLUTE, let them know that we sent you, and enjoy yourself some good old-fashioned wrestling. And from there, we pop into this week's episode after a brief hiatus. I was a busy guy, so
1 week off.
One week off.
Actually, it was all Steve Guy's fault. Why we didn't podcast last week?
It was my fault. Yeah, that's 100% true. I had the Cleveland Comedy Festival. I was a little busy. I basically had one day available to do it,
and I had to work late that day, so it just didn't. It wasn't in the cards, as they say.
That's right. The card didn't change. There just ended up being no card.
Stayed the same.
Yeah.
CGC.
There it is.
I did get a chance though to work on a couple of the Patreon podcasts that have been kind of floating around on my computer that needed to be edited. So we released two Patreon exclusive podcasts this week.
There you go.
In the absence of the usual Cards Going to Change podcast.
What's out there now?
I released a new School Sucks, which for those of you who are unfamiliar, School Sucks is a Patreon exclusive podcast hosted by Dominic Guarini, where he interviews a student from the AIW Academy. And this week we released Chuck Stone. So Dom and Chuck Stone talk about Chuck's journey to signing up for the school and his experience. And also I released the I'm calling the Lost Locker Room podcast, which is when you and several others started recording a podcast in Jefferson, Ohio.
Yep.
So I was finally able to give that the once over that it needed.
It certainly did. There was a moment I had to walk away, and I was very nervous about what was going to happen when I walked away from that podcast and other people were doing it.
So I gave that the time that it needed, and it's just about 30 minutes. I thought about releasing it publicly, but I figured I would make that exclusive to the loyal patrons as well. A very entertaining podcast that's getting rave reviews from everyone that has listened to it thus far. So I was able to work a little bit on the extra stuff this week since we took the week off from podcasting.
Well, very, very cool. That's a great segue because we roll into the shout-out segment. Shout out to you, John Thorne, for getting that done. Taking the time, working on some Patreon stuff. That's important. The Patreon people, they love it. They're in those tiers for a reason.
Yeah,
and you hooked them up.
I'm going to, I'm going to revamp some of the tiers and, kind of dial in a little bit more on the Patreon. We've had some people unsubscribe, because it was getting a little sparse and scarce there for a little bit, but now that we're kind of locked in, and we have a full schedule in 2022. I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities to create that additional content that people were becoming accustomed to prior to the pandemic. So sign up for that Patreon. You get first crack at tickets, all kinds of special things, special podcast video releases. We're going to work on adding some more unique features to it. I think it's just a matter of all of us getting together and really, dedicating a day to, figuring out the ins and outs of Patreon, to be perfectly honest with you, and understanding the full capabilities of it.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense to me. You mentioned another name there that I am going to shout out. Shout out to Chuck Stone on, what would it have been? Friday night. Friday night, I was winding things down, finished things off at the Odeon, which is where we had the Cleveland Comedy Festival this year. Shout out to the Odeon, might as well. We're in the process of it. Shout out to Chris and Matt and Jeff, the sound guy, for making things happen there, and Fredo, their security dude. Shout out to all of them for holding it down and being just a huge part and helping make the Cleveland Comedy Festival successful. But I was out gallivanting in the streets of downtown Cleveland and found myself in the dive bar with some out-of-town comics. They wanted to go to some places. Lo and behold, I look across the bar, and there's Chuck Stone and hanging out at the dive bar on a Friday night. So shout out to Chuck Stone. Good time running into him.
I am going to take it back a few weeks, and I'm going to give a shout out to Mick Foley. Mick Foley was, nice enough to make myself and several others in the AIW crew his personal guest for his comedy show a few weeks ago at Hilarities.
Yeah.
And, it was a great time, as always. Steve Guy, you had to come summon me to come to the personal green room of Mick Foley, which was, I've met him a bunch of times, but always a little nerve wracking. You know what I mean? When when you're kind of put on the spot for that, one-on-one talk time. But it was a cool experience to go in there and got to talk to Mick for a little bit, and we probably spent about a half hour or 45 minutes in there with him, just talking shop. Yeah. And, he put on a great show, and, we helped him out with his meet and greet after. Mm-hmm. And, I brought some replica tickets from the Kawasaki Dream King of the Deathmatch tournament. That somebody gave me a long time ago. George Mayfield, I think, gave them to me. For all you East Coasters, you're probably familiar with Mr. Mayfield, who sets up shop. He used to set up shop at the Chikara shows and the big events that would happen at the ECW arena. He gave me these replica tickets, and I just had them sitting around my house, so I took them with me, and I got them autographed by Cactus Jack himself. Wow. So cool little memorabilia pieces added to my collection. So shout out to Mick Foley.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was real fun. We're sitting in there, and he's like, "Hey guys, I know that it's been 2 years, but do you know what I talked about the last time I was here?"
Yeah, and I was like, Mick, like COVID 2 years is like 10. Like nobody remembers anything.
Nobody cares. Just
tell you. I was like, dude, just tell your story. Like just go with it. You know what I mean?
You're gonna be fine. And shout out. Speaking of that show, we helped out with everything afterwards. Shout out to Arthur MacArthur handling the photo portion of that, and Derek Dillinger took over the merch stand for Mick.
Running the merch stand.
Ran the merch stand. Yeah, absolutely. Also, I suppose I should shout out Derek Dillinger because we were involved later on that night in what can only be described as a female brawl that you would see on World Star. And we were involved in breaking
on a Sunday night.
On a Sunday night at City Tap in downtown Cleveland. There were some young ladies who were fighting, and they were arguing quite loudly, and it didn't look good. The poor bar staff, it was just a guy and a girl that were working, and they were trying to get some girls to leave.
I will say this, for a Sunday night, downtown was a buzz.
It was popping.
The Browns were out of town.
Yeah.
But downtown was a buzz on a Sunday night. I was shocked.
Yeah, it was quite busy. Were they out of town? No, they were.
Yeah, they were in Cincinnati.
Oh, they were in Cincinnati. Yeah. Yeah, it was. And I looked at Derek and I said, "Hey, man, do you think we should step in there and help them out?" Because at this point, we were just, it was just trying to get some people to leave, right? And not hit each other. And he said, "No, that's not our problem." I said, "Okay, but if it goes down, we're the two biggest guys here. We probably do have to do something." And I'm obviously not very big, but that's saying something. And next thing you know, these girls start swinging on each other. And people are throwing stuff. It's getting wild. And I was like, oh, shit. And we had to go over there. And we had to separate them. We had to hold a door closed so that girls weren't trying to get in. It was chaotic. And it was very weird. We're breaking up this fight, and then these two dudes are like, "Hey, we're AIW and comedy fans. We go to the shows." Like trying to have a conversation with Derek and I while we're breaking up this brawl, and it's like, "Why don't you guys help? What are you doing?" And then there was some weird pilot dude who, when we left, was like, "Can I walk with you guys? Because I don't want to walk by myself." Like he was gonna get beat up by this group of girls, and we're like, "What the hell is happening on this very strange Sunday night in Cleveland?"
I had a much different experience when I left.
I bet.
Because I didn't stay. I had to work on Monday, so I got right out of there. And walking back to the car, and there appears to be a dead body.
Oh my God.
A dead body. It's not Flannery, I think... like Flannery's is at the end of East 4th, and then there's something next to it. I think it's a Mexican restaurant, like across the alley or whatever from it.
Oh yeah. Well, there used to be something there. I don't know if there is something there right now. It used to be
there's tables and there's like tables and stuff and chairs out there, and like it's closed, and there's just like an unconscious person like underneath the table, and I was like, what is it? That doesn't look right. And it looked like there was like a pool of blood next to their head.
Oh my God.
So I was like, hello? Like, are you okay? And then he started talking, and then a man came out of the shadows. I think it was like a scam that they were running. And I thought that I was going to be a dead body. I'll put it that way. Got out of there pretty quick.
It was
leave me the fuck alone. I said, leave me the fuck alone. I'm just making sure this guy's not dead.
What a wild night. Wow. Yeah. Hey, shout out to AIW fans, Denise and Amy and Matt and Devin and Wayne, photographer Wayne Palmer. I'm trying to think of anybody else. That's off the top of my head. If I missed you, I'm sorry. But they all came to the Dolph Ziggler show as part of the Cleveland Comedy Festival. And I really appreciate that. And it was awesome. So big thanks to them.
I was trying to make it down there, and I had family obligations, which is one of my least favorite obligations to have. And I just couldn't get loose. I had to... My uncle, who passed away a couple of years ago, his kids came into town for their birthdays. So I had to be a respectable family member on Saturday night. Went to Wasabi in Independence, which is a long endeavor for dinner.
What do you get at a place like Wasabi?
Steak.
Just steak?
Steak and noodles.
Okay.
And that's it.
Noodles untouched? Like just butter on the noodles or what?
Yeah, they just give you they just fry up the noodles. You ever been there? They just fry the noodles up in front of you. You know,
Yeah,
they just
okay,
put some
so
garlic on them or whatever.
All right, so you're down with that. You're good with the
and some fried
little
rice.
hibachi stuff there. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, that's all it is like a hibachi grill or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, we went there at 5:30. It's an hour wait, and then you got to go through the whole fucking ordeal. You know what I mean? They got to do squirt the wine in your mouth and do all that fucking, the bells and whistles. And I mean, by the time I got out of there, it was 8:00, and I was like, well, if I go to this Dolph Ziggler show, then, it's not going to be enjoyable because I just ate all these fried noodles,
Yeah.
So I just went and I ended up just couching it up, and I ordered the AEW pay-per-view, and that was about it. Very low key weekend for me. A little under the weather as well. So
Okay.
I just decided to, do a little NyQuil action on Saturday and Sunday night as well. So
Go nighty night, pass right out, huh?
that NyQuil.
It doesn't knock me out, man.
Oh man, it knocks me the fuck out.
Oh, I'm envious.
Yeah, it knocks me out. I'm still not feeling too hot, but I feel like I am on the road to recovery. I don't really have any
No big shout
outs.
outs? Man,
No.
well, I got more. I bet a big week, man. You already mentioned. Well, shout out to Dolph Ziggler. It was a really fun show. It was great. Glad to have him here. We did some brother time afterwards, hanging out. I mean, all night really. And big shout out to Ryan Nemeth too, because Ryan had to go to Rampage on Friday night in Minnesota. And then from there, flew himself to Cleveland on Saturday morning because he wasn't going to be a part of, he wasn't doing anything on the pay-per-view. So he flew in to be a part of the show on Saturday, and it was awesome. It was fun to have him. It was cool to have both those guys there and then hang out with everybody. And their uncle's band, Nunfist, was amazing. This metal band, they dress like nuns but have zombie makeup on. It's like this. Is the
Odeon gonna add them to any future bills coming up?
Dude, I don't know. I tell you what,
I assume they're a draw.
I told Nick, I was like, all the comics loved it, and I am genuinely serious. Like, booking Nunfist to now close out the Cleveland Comedy Festival every year might be the move. They were something else, man. It was great. They were so cool. And but extended shout out to Dolph Ziggler, because the efforts that he put forth to promote his show was incredible. If you are, because there are some who listen to this, if you are a comedian, you're a pro wrestler, if you're an entertainer in general, no matter what the field is, I implore you to look at Dolph Ziggler's social media and understand, that's how you push something that you are on and you want people to come to. It was crazy. I mean,
that's the way it should be, and that's
what I'm saying. That's
the way. Promoter rant here. Like, a lot of these independent wrestlers, even wrestlers from the AIW school, just think they're too cool to promote. You know what I mean? Like, they just want to reap the benefits of being a wrestler without putting in the effort of promoting their own personal brand. You know what I mean? And that has nothing to do. That's not even AIW specific. That is just in general. People will promote they'll do the check me out at these 3 shows this weekend, and just do one post with all 3 posters, and it'll be the day of the first show, and that's that. It drives me nuts, and a lot of people criticize Matt Cardona for whatever reason. That guy promotes every fucking thing that he does. You know what I mean? Guess what? Everybody in the world knows that Matt Cardona wrestled for Beyond last week because he's posted about it 45 fucking times. You know, like, and then when he does AIW, he'll post about it 45 fucking times, you know?
Yeah.
And that's after the fact. That doesn't even include the build up, his various podcasts, YouTube, all his other, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And
that in general, though, the idea is, and this is, you know, promoters pay attention to this stuff. Like, I noticed, I will notice when people promote things, you know, like, here's a perfect example is, you know, the TV2 from the Kent area came and did a little feature on AIW, and they filmed at the school, and they talked to some of the people there, and they put together what a great 2.5 minute news, like, you know, video news thing, you know, news story.
Yeah.
And I told the student, like, I said, hey, can you guys, you know, share this? This is great. This is great publicity for you. This is great publicity for the school, for the company. Can you guys, like, all go to their Facebook page and like it and share it? And, like, I don't know, it's got, like, 12 likes on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, simple things, you know, that takes no effort really at all other than 10 seconds.
Yeah, even, like, you just hit it right there. Even just the sharing or the retweeting, you know, like, that helps. And it getting people there in general is going to grow your followers, right? And it's going to get more eyes on you. So if you're doing it and then somebody else on the show is doing it, now whoever is going to come to the show for you is going to see that person. And whoever's coming to the show for that person is now going to find out about you. And it's just this collective group effort will get everybody a lot further. And look, people aren't always going to show up when you're posting about it. And I get that. But put forth the effort for the sake of those that are investing time and money and other things in you, you know? Like, it's like...
And I know it sounds like, you know, like typical complainy promoter, and that's really not what it is. Like, for instance, this, you know, Kent Wired, you know, TV2 did this thing, and, like, you're on the news. Like, this is something, you know, for students, like, this is something to say, hey, mom, dad, like, this thing that I do that you think is stupid, because everybody's parents probably think it's stupid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we got Thanksgiving coming up. We're all gonna get asked about the stupid wrestling thing that we do, I'm sure. You know, like everybody involved in independent wrestling does. But, like, this is, like, a thing that, like, for the optics of your life makes it seem like you are doing something that matters, you know? And it's just, hey, like, this is a good thing for you. You know, this is the kind of stuff that plays well to the Facebook full of family members. You know what I mean? Like, hey, look, Aunt Betty, like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, that's just my little promotional rant, but it's a thing that bothers me because, you know, I get it. The promoting is my job, and I think I do a pretty good job of it. But, you know, the team effort, you know, only helps everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Hey, guess what? Like, the average fan that I bring in is probably not going to buy your T-shirt, you know, if you're fresh out of the wrestling school.
Yeah. Well, and what people don't realize, too, is it's so simple and easy sometimes. Like, not everyone that follows... Let's say I'm wrestling for AIW, and folks, don't get excited about that. This is completely 100% hypothetical. I know somebody's going to be in the Discord like, oh, Steve Guy said, shut up.
Okay, somebody, you know.
Yeah. There's a couple. So
Scott Random, come on.
So A-Rose, come on, it's not happening. So anyway, let's say I were, and people who follow me may not follow the AIW account. Right? So if AIW is putting all this stuff out, oh, come see Steve Guy, come see this, come see that. Well, the people who are interested in seeing me do that may never know because I didn't share AIW stuff or I didn't post about it. You know what I mean? So it just helps get more bodies there and people get more interested into you. Cross promotion.
It is an exchange of services that benefits both parties.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. It is mutually beneficial. And people lose sight of that sometimes. It's like,
but I mean, you, for example, you only really are a promoter once a year for this Cleveland Comedy Festival, and I'm sure there's people that you wish were probably promoting a little bit harder than others. For every Dolph Ziggler, there's a million Mikey Montgomerys.
Oh yeah. I mean, we do shows throughout the entire year. We just have the big festival once a year. This is like I don't know. A good comparison would be like our WrestleMania weekend, but in comedy in different states and cities, every city and state does something like the Collective or High Spot says, WrestleCon. You know what I mean? Like every state and city has their own thing. There is no WrestleMania of comedy.
Just like every city has their own independent wrring company.
Yeah. But a lot of the big cities will do these multi-day things. So we did. I think it ended up being like 15 shows over the course of 4 days. That's a lot of stuff. So that big thing is happening all the time. But yet there are individual shows throughout the year. And you're right, those don't necessarily have the Dolph Zigglers on them, but those do have the Mikey Montgomerys on them. And you want those people to promote the shows that they're going to be on. That's how they grow. Absolutely, you want them to do that. And like you're sitting here pushing in, it's like, all right, guys, like I just said, not everybody follows the Cleveland Comedy Festival. So they may not know that you're on this show unless you say something about it. Don't you want them to come to the show? There you go.
And, for independent wrestlers right now, I mean, let's look at the landscape of the business, right? Shout-outs are over. We're getting into biz talk now, Let's look at the landscape. About 200 free agents have hit the market in the last 12 months. Who all got a little bit more reach than all of you. So you have to make up ground, because if you want to really do this, the game has totally changed, right? Like the reports are out. WWE wants 25 or younger, over 6 feet tall. So if you're not that, okay, where is your next stop to make a living? AEW. AEW has signed every major free agent available, right?
Mm-hmm.
They aren't going to be able, they're not going to be able to sign every Lee Moriarty that's tearing it up, right?
Right.
They already got Lee Moriarty.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you have Impact. Is Impact going to, pay you a living salary? That is debatable, right? Like there's varying reports on that. So and then you get your MLWs. Ring of Honor they claim that they're going to come back. I don't know. I think it's highly unlikely. Like we saw Jay Lethal. He was
arguably their guy. Yeah,
arguably their guy. Not only that, he was. So he was signed and he asked to be released from what they had, because they had people signed through December or whatever, and he said, hey, I would like my release. And anybody that watched that AEW media scrum, they said, will you be at Final Battle? He said no. So like that doesn't sound too good for Ring of Honor's prospects. So you have to promote yourself, you can't just be complacent with being a wrestler right now, because these guys that had a taste of living it as a career, they want it again. And they are, not all, some will lose that hunger because of, being released or whatever, but a lot of them are going to come out of the gate extremely hungry and extremely motivated. So that is my little message to guys on the indies right now. I mean, it is a promoter's market, and there are there's so much talent out there. It's, from TV talent to independent talent. You have to do something. You have to step up and promote your shows and promote yourself and make yourself stand out, because it is, I feel, going to be a tough go for a lot of independent wrestlers now, because for the last since 2014 there has been a clear trajectory, get over, get signed, it happened so much. Now that's not going to happen. Now it's kind of going back to how it was, forever. Where, AEW is obviously an X factor, but, as far as WWE was concerned, that was like a winning lotto ticket, very like a Seth Rollins was like such a rarity to get signed in, the early 2000s, 2010s, that it was so rare, Bryan Danielson, same thing, not a lot of that. So, there will be ways for people to make a living, but, you have to stand out, look at Effie, Effie is another guy, promotes everything he does, makes himself stand out, there's going to be a lot of shows in 2022. Just our schedule is pretty big already. I've seen a couple other schedules that are big, but everybody wants to use the same people,
Right,
so
right.
How are you going to stand? How are you going to, break through? That is, and that goes back to, the original point of all it takes is a little effort in promoting yourself, and people will notice it.
Well, speaking of guys that found a way to really push and promote himself, that caught on with people and is now doing even bigger things, let's talk about All Ego Ethan Page, right? I mean, he is kind of synonymous with that. He's the first. He may not be the first, but he's at least the first one that stands out. Everybody is doing these vlogs now of their wrestling road trips. But he was, to me at least, I could be wrong, but he is the one that it really truly first stood out with, that you saw it all the time, and he was doing different things with it and made it a thing. And of course, I bring this up because he'll be back December 18th, folks. He is the big return that we were teasing a couple of weeks ago.
Well, before he went to WWE, Kevin Steen was doing it a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
But not a lot since him, and Ethan Page really dedicated himself to it the last few years. And, now it is, it's one of the more popular wrestling vlogs. And now everybody's, people have seen his popularity, but he puts hours and hours. And here's the thing about Ethan Page. Before he was signed, Ethan Page was a guy that would make videos of himself, do all these different promotional things, got very interactive on social media. He would go to, for example, he would go to promoters and, say, hey, I can, make you DVD trailers, and I can do graphic work for you. And I can, he made himself an asset, not only in the ring, but, in other avenues, to where it's it's much easier to book the guy that's going to also, he can also make the DVD trailer for you and, do the special video work. And, it's, he's taken a long road, but, he has been being booked consistently for years, long before Impact, long before AEW. He's had a full calendar. So, and that's because he put in work. He's told me, for his vlogs, he puts a full like work week in on those vlogs, editing them and, doing, the different releases and, making Patreon content and all this other stuff, that in itself is a full-time job. And I just think that some people are content with the idea of being wrestlers. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But there is going to be, it's going to be a lot harder to book just the wrestler. You know what I mean? When you can book the guy that is going to cut the promo and he's going to do all this extra stuff and promote himself and promote your show and is engaging with fans. Like, a Danhausen is a perfect example of that. This guy will do things and promote the show and draw in a fan base. But, and listen, it's not as easy as it sounds either. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that easy to stand out. But I just feel that some people don't even try. They just, hey, I'm wrestling tomorrow. And that's all you get.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to put the effort into the character and the self-promotion. I mean, it really kind of goes hand in hand. If you're comfortable and know who your character is, the promotion and all the other stuff starts to come a little bit easier, I think, too, right? We always use Danhausen as an example and Ethan Page, and it all works. So anyway, but yeah, December 18th, we're back at the Odeon. Ethan Page will be there. Full on Men of the Year meet and greet.
Yeah, he's gonna bring his fancy Men of the Year outfits, and do a full meet and greet in one of those $500 shirts.
Was such a far cry from Karate Man, but again, just using him as an example, there's another thing that he went full into, and it was incredible. It took the time to do it. It was great. But also within the last 2 weeks since we have been off from here, the card for Hell on Earth has started to take shape, and we're starting to see some matches here, and they're certainly worth talking about. The big one, of course, Kaplan versus PCO. My goodness, everybody said who should have this match. And we, of course, mentioned Dr. Britt Baker, still your AEW Women's Champion, by the way. Spoiler alert, but whatever. She said that she would stop following if you didn't make this match happen. And I don't want to say that threat is what did it, but is that threat what did it?
Let's be honest. Like, this was the match from the second I talked to PCO.
Yes, it was. I can vouch for that. Sometimes the fans are very much in tune with what we're thinking, like, for a reason, obviously. But this, you say PCO, and just because Kaplan has still had a hell of a year, all of us everywhere, we're all collectively thinking, whether we're part of the company or as fans, there's only one guy that should be having this match, and it's Kaplan. I don't know what to expect from it. I mean, I do, but I don't.
You know exactly what to expect.
I do. But at the same time, Kaplan does things where, like, was it last show? He does the cannonball off the ring and nobody's home. Right? He goes right to the floor or into a table or something. There are those little things that I don't. There are always these moments where I watch a match and I think I've seen everything in a Kaplan match, and then there are moments like that where I'm like, well, maybe now I've seen everything out of a Kaplan match.
Can we talk about, though, how, coming out of the pandemic, Kaplan, who was virtually out of the business, is now, like, just throwing himself in full go?
Yeah, he's ready to go, man. Go for Broke, I think, reinvigorated him. The match he had with Josh Bishop for Up in JCW. I think that reinvigorated him. Yeah, he's dedicated. He's ready to go, man. And I mean, speaking of fancy shirts and Man of the Year outfits, we got to talk to Ethan Page. If they need a third guy, for crying out loud, put Kaplan up there with his little cigar and those sunglasses, looking like $1 million, you know. Psycho Clown, the booking of that. Psycho Clown, Matt Justice. This is another one, just going to be off the rails. Plus Fonzie in the corner. I love, by the way, that Fonzie talking trash to Psycho Clown on Instagram. Did you notice that comment this week?
Yes. And also talking trash to Ziggy Heim. He's just talking trash to everyone. Fonzie's going to be doing a meet and greet with Sabu this weekend, actually, at Time Capsule Toys. I don't know what day, but...
oh, okay.
Fonzie and Sabu are going to be doing a signing together in Girard, Ohio this weekend. I don't know what day. You'll have to look into it. I don't have any information on it.
Very, very nice. Oh, well, you know, this past weekend, so we're standing in the Odeon. I'm standing at the bar with Ryan Nemeth, and he just looks and he goes, "Why is there an autographed Fonzie 8x10 behind the bar at the Odeon?" I said, "Why isn't there? Why would there not be? Why wouldn't there be one? Like,
why wouldn't there?
This is Fonzie's home, man. Like, it's got pictures.
Fonzie's the guy, though. He carries the 8x10s in the briefcase, you know, and he leaves them for the waitresses and the waiters and the bartenders everywhere he goes.
That was it was definitely one of the funnier moments to happen there. You know, the ongoing theme for AIW this year has been opportunity for various people. We talk about regrouping, and when we talked about the business aspect of stuff just a little bit ago, even on here, you know, everybody's using the same people. Well, we're not exactly. We are, but we're not. We obviously have the students. We have this homegrown talent. And because everybody's been using the same people, but also because travel, all these various things, these factors that have played into it, our students have been getting a few more opportunities. And this show has multiple matches where that is, again, the case. You've got Two and Infinity Beyond taking on Bulking Season. That's a huge opportunity for those guys.
But you know, to kind of add on to your point or counter your point,
yeah,
a lot of these so-called students are getting booked outside of AIW now as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like, are we creating opportunities for them, or are they the opportunities for everybody? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's you know, it's that has been very fulfilling. You know, even people like Kaplan have been getting bookings outside of the company. Like, you know, they're becoming sought after talents, you know, a lot of them. So, you know, and it's unfortunate for what's been going on with Dominic Guarini, because, you know, he was able to take a lot of people on the road and do things, and now that can't happen with, you know, what's going on with this health stuff. But it's great to see that, you know, even members only, I see them, you know, they're you know, showing up on all sorts of shows, you know, all around. And Bulking Season, you know, Arthur MacArthur, you know, as, you know, we've joked, Arthur Elite Wrestling, he's been, you know, getting some AEW things going on, and all sorts of, you know, just different, you know, bookings for everybody. So that has been, you know, a fulfilling thing, is like, you know, we make them and you can take them, you know, and we'll keep making them.
Yeah. Which is, we'll keep making them. It's a tribute to how well the school works. You know, these guys are getting these opportunities, and then when they're getting opportunities elsewhere, it's two things. They're getting the opportunities on our shows, and they're doing a great enough job. They're standing out on those to the point that other promotions are seeing it and then wanting to book them. And then when they are there, they're making the most of those opportunities. That's a hugely great thing, and sometimes an underrated aspect of what we do at the school, which Oh, by the way, we'll be getting a trainer back. It looks like he says he's ready to go in December. He thinks.
Yeah, Prohibition has started training again at the school sporadically, and he as well has a bunch of injuries and health things going on, but he is going to start training full time again at the AW Academy, starting. I believe. Let me look at a calendar here. December 1st. So December 1st, he will be back on a regular basis.
Well, good. Yeah. Plus, school getting kind of back in session more. Very different year than last year and the year before. I'm sure that took up a lot of his time too, on top of the injuries, and he's definitely the guy who wants to at least roll around a little bit when he's there. He got the injuries under control enough that he can do that, but because previously he was so banged up, I think that embarrass isn't a good word, but I think that he just felt like, I want to teach them, but I also want to be able to show them some things by him, by doing it, and he just couldn't really do much of anything. For the better part of the year, but it'll be nice to have him back. I know the students will enjoy that. Speaking of coming back, though, members only. You mentioned them. They've got a tag match against the Bitcoin Boys. Mikey Montgomery, who we mentioned earlier, just as an example, folks. Don't read too much into that one either. But Mikey Montgomery coming back from injury.
Yeah, he has been cleared. I think, he's done a few little shows, to kind of work the kinks out a little bit. So, he was cleared in late October. So he is ready to get back into the end of the mix in AIW. So I figured, why not throw members only another bone? You know what I mean? They've done great in their opportunities thus far. At least one of them is from the East Lake-ish area. So I figured that would also be a nice little, homecoming for, I believe, Malcolm Cambridge.
Oh.
Let me ask you. I'm not 100% on Calvin's origin story, but Malcolm is from the area.
Let me ask you this, because we talked about self-promotion. When guys go back and forth and talk trash to each other on Twitter about an upcoming match, because these two sides have been talking a lot of trash to each other on Twitter in the last few days or so. Can that help? Does that help garner attention for the promotion or the match? If people just, maybe get inside and are entertained by what the heck's going on and they want to find out more.
I mean, that perspective is hard for me because it's kind of like eye-rolly for me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If I'm scrolling my feed. But I don't know. That's really more of a question for fans. Like, one thing I've noticed is like everything that I found like eye-rolly throughout the pandemic seems to work, for whatever reason. Yeah. So like maybe I'm just not the person to judge certain things. Maybe I'm too close to the source material, mm-hmm. To be able to remove myself and see it for what it is. So I don't know, really, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, it was just something I thought, like, well, because somebody might follow them and see the quote tweets and think, what the hell is this all about? This just made me giggle a little bit, and then there they go. So I don't know. I thought I mentioned that, and also returning from injury, Riley Rose on this show. We haven't seen him in months because of an injury, so it'll be good.
Since July, so
yeah, I guess, yeah. Wow, it's been that long. Wow. Well, it's been that long for both of them, really. Was it the same show? Did they get injured on the...
No, Mikey got injured after the fact. He got injured at the Danhausen show, I believe, right?
That sounds... Yes. Yes, Danhausen was in August. Yeah, the day before Wrestle Rager was Mikey's injury. Yeah, Riley Rose was out in the
Jefferson.
Ashtabula or Jefferson's show. Yep. So it'll be nice to have him back, taking on Jocelyn Navarro, whose stock, of course, continues to rise. So this is good. This is shaping up to be a really good card. Are there more matches to be announced?
Yes. Just announced yesterday as you're listening to this, but right now as we're recording, it will be Matt Cardona and PME taking on the Rip City Shooters and a mystery partner.
Oh, that's
Who's the third man, Steve? Who's the third man?
I mean, I can't say. It's not me.
Mabel's dead,
again,
so it can't be Mabel.
It's this will be interesting. This is a challenge. Kind of. Josh Bishop was talking about that on here. He was
Fingers
saying he wanted
crossed.
that.
Fingers crossed. It's Hogan again as the third man.
I was gonna say that it's probably not Hogan, but
I wish.
we didn't have that good of a 2021 pal that we can
We certainly have not.
financially sustain that from paying him, but also the potential backlash. There's a lot of things that go with that.
Hey man, we did okay with Sonny.
We did, yeah. That's gonna be
Still paying off our 2020 debts though, so I don't think Hogan's in the cards.
I'll say this. I don't think that it's Brickster. I don't think that the Brickster walking away from wrestling is a work thing. Right? Can you confirm or deny that?
I don't know who the third man is.
Oh, you don't know either?
No.
Oh. When do you think you'll know? Because you got to approve this, right? You got to approve paying whoever this is.
Listen. Sometimes the Rip City Shooters go off on their own little. They're off in their own little world. So
you think it's going to be So sometimes you think it's going to be one person, and then like day of, it's something else entirely.
I don't know. They got a lot of new friends. I'll say that. It seems.
They're popular guys.
I cannot confirm nor deny who it is. It could be the Brickster though.
Okay, so you think maybe
could be all for show. I don't know.
Oh,
and this is my theory is because they wanted to do this in this big secret thing. Yeah. I think that it's the Brickster as a makeup because the Brickster no-showed the show against Tom, and he knew that I was mad at him.
Well, we know it's not the Masked Marauder because he's already been unveiled as having been the Brickster, which I guess it could be the Marauder, but Brickster. All right, we'll find out. And I'm excited. My mind is swirling because I
don't know if I'm excited. I'll say that.
Yeah, as a curiosity, I suppose, and I'm nervously excited. Is that better? Yeah, I don't know how excited I am because it literally could be anyone. They have made a lot of new friends, as you suggested. It
could be anyone.
Oh man. Well, I hope it's Scott Hall.
We shall see. Oh, me too.
Scott Hall be the third.
That's
man.
A good one.
That'd be pretty sweet, right? The Rip City Shooters and Scott Hall.
I will say this, tickets. Only general admission left. We are going to run out of chairs. If you are a general admission ticket buyer and you bring your own chair, I don't care. Set it up in the fourth row or wherever. Just not nowhere in the first three rows. If I know that there's some people are concerned about, not getting a chair. Listen, we rented a few hundred chairs. I would imagine that we're going to run out of chairs. That's the way it seems.
Wow.
So, if you want to bring your own chair to play it safe, that's fine. That's totally fine. Just, be a fucking adult about it, right? Like, Don't be stupid. And, you can bring your own chair and just, set it up, in the fourth row or beyond, and everything will be fine. But we're still a few weeks out. I have a goal in mind for this show. We have not hit it as of yet.
Okay.
So I urge you to please buy a ticket to Hell on Earth 16. I've had this plan since, we've been allowed to come back, that I want this to be our coming out party to, bring us into 2022 and a fresh, clean slate start, so to speak. And I want this to be, the kickoff to that. And, this has been my plan since we were able to come back, in the easing into everything. We've always had this event in mind as the real, hey, let's do it, So if you're an AIW fan out there that, has been on the fence or whatever, come live. As far as I know, I don't think it's going to stream, so come experience it live. Buy a ticket. Let's pack this place. We've tried to do things the right way throughout the whole pandemic. It's been well documented on this podcast. Whether we feel we've done the right thing or the wrong thing, all that stuff. We don't need to rehash all those conversations, but please come support this one. Obviously we have thrown down a huge budget on talent, Psycho Clown, PCO, Double J, Cardona. The list goes on and on and on. Let's... What was that noise for?
Is Double J going to be the third guy?
I don't know. You got to wait and see.
Oh my God, are the shooters in with Double J? All right, sorry, continue on. I'm just thinking the possibilities are endless. They're there now. Holy smoke. All right, continue on.
So let's pack this, we're sparing no expense for this event. We've rented a gigantic building. We've got chair, let's pack it. I know I do this big spiel every time, but this is the one that I want everybody. I want every fan that's ever come or whatever that was, supporting before. I want everybody back on November 26th. That's the plan. That's what I want to do. I want, for everybody to feel some normalcy again, from the fans to the wrestlers in the back. We experienced it in Akron. Now I want to do better than what we did in Akron. I want this to be one of, if not the biggest event that AIW has ever done.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. Fire it up. That's it. Let's end it with that.
We got questions in the Discord.
Oh shit, did you say that? You did that? You did the Discord question thing?
We got questions.
We've been talking for a whole hour. This is like it's like freaking Mick Foley and Dolph Ziggler show. Let's do something else for an extended period of time, and then, hey folks, now we'll take your questions. All right, let's see here. Where did you ask? In the podcast section, John Thorne, or in the regular section?
Podcast.
Okay. Podcast, here we go. Submit your questions. Oh boy. Any thoughts of making... Ooh, this is a good question.
There was a couple of, from last week too, if you can find them, because I was going to do a solo one and then only 2 questions got asked, so I didn't. But I'll let you, because my phone died, so it's all on you now.
Okay. We've had this question from multiple people. In person, I've gotten it at least. Any thoughts of making replica AIW title belts available for purchase?
It has been discussed for sure. But, obviously there would be a gigantic price involved, right? Mm-hmm. And if somebody seriously was interested in that, I could. I don't think that it would be an item in a store, right? Because the amount of money it would cost to order and stock would be pretty crazy, right? But if somebody was really interested, they could message me, and we would probably be able to get something, at cost, right? Like, not the same materials, but something very similar, and we would probably, it would still be at least a couple $100, right? So like,
right, yeah.
We wouldn't, it would probably be something that we would set up with our belt designer and, just kind of work a deal like that. So if somebody's seriously interested, we could discuss it on an individual basis.
There you go. I'm not really sure what's meant by this. Can you release the meet and greet pictures on the Patreon page before events?
Oh, so like
the 8x10s?
The 8x10s that will be available.
Oh, just to let people know what they'd have as options, maybe?
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're asking? Or, would somebody want to print out their own? I don't.
No, I think so they know what's available. Mm-hmm. I never thought about that. I'm sure that could be arranged.
Okay. When will the Odeon shows be back to full capacity?
The hope is December 18th.
All right.
So it's December 18th, though. We are keeping the 2 rows limited to 50, even though we were doing 65 front rows pre-pandemic. We're going to keep it at 50, but we're going to go back to that old setup on December 18th with the little catwalk off the stage. So you could fit a couple more seats there, but we're going to keep that limited to 50 just so we don't oversell it, right? And just make sure everything is good to go. And then so for December 18th, I switched it up a little bit. We're keeping the limited 50, and we're keeping only 20 on the stage, where pre-pandemic we were doing 30 on the stage. So we're keeping that kind of as it is. I dropped the third row. We're not going to do a third row, so we're just going to hopefully expand general admission, standing room only, right?
Okay.
So it's technically going to be full capacity, but the seats are still going to be limited. The premium seating is going to be limited until, we see can we get back to that 65, what and comfortable, because we were squeezing people in there with 65 seats pre-pandemic. So now we gotta kind of reassess that. So I'm gonna keep it at 50 for December 18th, but we're gonna go back to that old kind of setup where you can have the those couple seats and up against the staging or whatever.
Okay. Does Joshua Bishop get an automatic title rematch, or does he go back to the line? No, back of the line, sorry.
There's really never been a policy on that. It's really just kind of the story that's at hand. So we'll see. They're doing a 6-man in November. There are some scheduling issues for December, so it may not happen until January or February, or something else could happen.
Okay.
There's never AEW is very strict on their rankings and their wins and losses, and I don't really I don't really subscribe to that. I mean, it really kind of depends on how the story is unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we get there, we get there.
Have you ever thought of booking old school guys for meet and greet, like maybe Magnum TA, Barry Windham, or Nikita Koloff?
Yeah, Barry Windham, I've considered before. Not really Magnum or Nikita, because, I don't know how known they were in this area, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I love the old school guys, obviously.
Yeah.
It just is a matter of, does it make sense? And, I think we're going to try more of that. There's more Akron dates on the lineup in 2022. So we'll experiment, with some more legends and things of that nature.
Here we go. When Steve is not serving up laughs and John wrestling dreams, what is the go-to dish they could make for family? Chicken fingers for John Thorne.
Dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets and some smiley-faced fries. I don't know. Not really much of a cook.
Yeah, I can cook up some things. I like to get a little creative. It varies. The funny thing is, like, my actual family always forgets that I can cook, and then when I do, they're shocked by it. And I'm like, guys, I've worked in restaurants for years, and I managed restaurants. Like, I know how to cook, I don't have a go-to dish that I make for anybody, though. My girlfriend's a vegetarian, so she's not like that's easy. Salad is what I make her. Probably something pasta-oriented, to be honest. I like experimenting with what I throw in different sauces and do different stuff. I don't know. I guess that would be my answer.
I'm not too good in the kitchen.
We've touched on this, but I know it was going to change, and maybe it has, or maybe it hasn't yet. But how does IWTV work for benefiting AIW? Is it by the event watched or time watching events?
For the most part, it is by the time watched. That's really kind of how the payment works. When you stream live, that's different. If you're watching live, but typically, for the most part, it's the time that you watch AIW on the service.
Okay. Next one was, do the wrestlers have full control over their matches, or have you had to nix some ideas?
So sometimes, they're given a kind of like basic layout, and then sometimes, they'll say, hey, what if we did this? And a lot of the times it's, well, that doesn't make sense because of this, and this. So yeah, things get nixed all the time, but it is like kind of a, kind of like a free form, so to speak. Like, hey, this is the match. This is who should win. And then I let them kind of come up with the story of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's specific things that need to be accomplished. And then, sometimes they just, some guys go off the rails. Sometimes they try things and it doesn't work the way that I want it to work, or,
Sometimes guys go off the balcony anyways.
Yes, that as well. That was a stern no. Don't do that.
Can the Duke earn the Bitcoin Boys a tag team title shot if he were to defend the Haas Division boot against Kaplan?
Wait, say that again? Seems like there's some math involved in this.
There is some math involved. So if the Duke decided to put the Haas Division boot on the line against Kaplan, would he be able to earn the Bitcoin Boys a tag team title shot?
What does Kaplan have to do with that?
I don't know. I think it's just a little trade-off of trying to get the Duke to defend it against somebody very dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Somebody that they think could just pummel the Duke. He's got a lot of people that want that boot, by the way. I mean, it's crazy. Tom Lawler wants a shot at it. Chuck Stone wants a shot at it.
Razor sharp.
Razor sharp. My goodness. This is a fun one. If you were forced to sing karaoke, what song would you select?
I'm not a big performing artist.
I know. That's why I thought this is a good question for you.
I don't know. I mean, maybe some like 1992 Death Row. I could probably sing most of those songs.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Gin and Juice.
A little gin and juice.
Yeah, let's go with that.
My go-tos are Shaggy, either It Wasn't Me or Angel, or Enrique Iglesias.
Duke and I were actually just talking about this with Dom and a couple other people the other night. We went out to a BW3 after training, and we did a bar gig a long time ago in Broadview Heights, and we walked across the street to a bar, and they had karaoke, and like the Duke and Colin Delaney and Tim Donst and Corey Graves just like laid down so many karaoke tracks that night. The Duke's go-to is Let's Get It On.
It is, yeah.
By Marvin Gaye.
Yep.
So we were actually just talking about that the other day.
Karaoke does have a history in AIW. We had the karaoke after party at Mayhall's down in the basement. We did that. Colin Delaney was big on it there. Gringo Loco did it. Found out there that Eddie Kingston's go-to is Hello by Lionel Richie. We went to Corky's karaoke bar in Lakewood after the Gargano wedding. We got Josh Prohibition to go there that night.
Yeah, worldwide
was taking bumps on the concrete floor.
He's got to go to one. It's like
yeah, that's what he was doing. I don't remember what it was.
Like Sam Cooke or something.
Yeah,
Sam somebody.
Yeah, who else was there? Britt Baker was there. That was a good time. That was a good night. And then what else? We did karaoke after a Tequila Jack show out in Menor on the Lake. We went to a bar that had karaoke. For some reason, I feel like Colin Delaney again involved.
He's always involved when there's karaoke. I mean,
loves karaoke.
There's been various, like, even, predating your time in AIW, like, bars that we wound up with that had karaoke. And Colin Delaney, always involved in that.
Yeah. Cheech, big fan of karaoke, too. We found this out at Good Company. I don't remember what his songs were, but Cheech he laid down some karaoke there. So, karaoke is for the AIW boys and girls. Would you ever bring in local stars for meet and greets, like a former Browns or Indians player?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a ton of crossover, but
yeah,
typically, like athletes like that have fees that are so out there compared to wrestlers, like gigantic fees, like that's why they do these big sports card shows and, these other things, you like car dealerships,
Right.
So I just think that there is a big kind of difference as far as payment is concerned, so probably not.
This is one that
unless it's Albert Bell, then I'll pay any amount of money. or Craig Elo.
Craig Elo would be amazing for a meet and greet. We've talked about this one before. We've gotten it before, and I know a big part of the answer. So the question is just streamers, okay or hell no?
I don't mind streamers.
the reality of this is that
Biggins was a big streamer guy.
Biggins was a big streamer guy, and
he would sell them at the door. It was a little money making scheme that he had going for the company. He would buy a bunch of streamers, and then he'd sell them for $1 a piece at the door.
And I think after he passed away, we weren't going out and buying streamers, and people were just so used to them being there that there's not a whole lot of streamer action going on.
You want to bring streamers, you bring them.
Yeah,
you coordinate it. I don't care.
And
doesn't bother me.
We also stopped doing the in-ring introductions, so no streamer action happening with those for the most part, except for like the title matches. But you could still throw streamers at people when they first come out. I would think, or when they first get into the ring. It could still be done.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, streamers don't bother me. You just don't see a lot of streamers in wrestling in general right now, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Biggins stopped selling them for $1.
That's why, yeah. All right, I'm going back now, trying to find these questions from last week. What are you looking for most in the new year for AIW?
Just getting back to normal, like just consistent well-attended shows. Like we have a pretty ambitious schedule. I keep ominously letting everyone know that. I believe we have 18 dates booked, 19 dates booked, and signed, sealed, and delivered with venues. I just want them all to do well, like I don't. That's really my only goal, is to survive in Northeast Ohio, as a viable wrestling promotion that does not cost any of my personal money and maintains a high quality of presentation. That's really it, in the ring. Those are really my only goals. I have no goal to become this like world beater promotion. Like I just want to remain successful in Northeast Ohio and continue to provide good entertainment to our fan base, really, and keep them coming to the events.
There you go. That was it. That's the last question. The other one was repeated. Somebody was wise and asked it again today, knowing that it didn't get answered last week. So there you are.
Yeah, that's really it. I mean, no, big plan, honestly. It just, I think it, and this sounds bad, but I've come to the reality that, this is a side hustle or whatever you want to call it for me. This is never going to be the job number one. It is a very self-sustaining business, endeavor to do on the side. And it took me a lot of years to come to that conclusion, right? And a lot of kind of humbling experiences. So that is what I want to continue to be. I want to continue to be a successful staple in the Northeast Ohio area, and continue to present a higher quality event than everything else you can see around here, and keep our fan base coming to the events and happy. That it's really not a big grand goal. It's just let's make these 18 or 19 events next year successful.
Bam! There you go.
What is your idea for AIW, Steve? I'll throw it in your.
What's my idea for AIW?
Your court.
The funny thing is, we're it's funny. Derek and I were having this conversation when we were out, but I know that you and I, to a degree, disagree on where AIW can go and what it can be. And I think that we just haven't found maybe the happy medium. Because while I don't think that we could be or even need to be this huge thing like, oh, we're going to compete with MLW or we'll be the next Ring of Honor or anything along those lines, I do think that there is money that can be made from AIW. I think that we create a quality product. We create stars and wrestlers. So I think that we have the opportunity. I think there are things that are untapped that we're not doing. And I think that we can expand and we can grow our audience even without leaving Cleveland because of digital footprints and whatnot. And I think that we can.
I don't disagree with any of that. I mean,
but I think that it can become something where we do, as the people who run things, make some money from it. Like I think that we could, if we wanted to, run AIW like a true business, and and maybe it's always still a side business, but I think that it could be.
Well, hey, it's run like a business because I had to do my taxes recently. It is run like a business.
That is true.
I had to go see the tax man, but I think that I'm just kind of always erring on the end of being realistic about it and not getting too far ahead of myself and not getting in too deep, because that can happen very easily in the world of independent wrestling.
Sure.
Independent wrestling promotions come and go, and they're never thought of again. And they go, and they're never thought of again, no matter how long they've been around. So I'm very cautious about all of that. I do think there's obviously potential for growth, potential to grow the fan base. I don't think that there's potential to tour or, take on that expense. I think that, we've probably seen the last of AIW at a WrestleMania weekend, unless it is, in a more Midwestern, East Coast-ish area. I'm just, I don't want to roll the dice and come up short, because there's a lot of people that rely on this booking or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel it would be selfish for me to roll the dice on something and blow it for everybody. And that's a lot of pressure,
Sure.
But you also want to grow and, keep that upward momentum. And that is really why, Hell on Earth is a gigantic litmus test, because we've done so many experiments since the pandemic, whether it be Go for Broke or the comeback shows, with nothing advertised. We've tried so many different things, right? The true litmus test is going to be, okay, here we are, we're putting together a pretty good lineup, star-studded lineup. We have a big place. Can we fill it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, can we fill it? Because as much as we want to, find that middle ground between, what other people kind of in office jobs think we can do and what I think that we can, realistically do and what Pedro thinks we can do. There's all these varying ideas, but it ultimately comes down to the fans and the fan support, right? Like, are people going to be there or are they not going to be there? Because we could do as much as we want and we can have as many ideas as we want, but it's really about, are people going to, put their wallets on the table, so to speak, and come support it, or are they staying home, right? Like, that's really, it's as basic as that. So I just want to remain self-sustaining, because it's a lot of pressure on our fan base. And, if you want to see this company continue to grow, tell your friends, right? Like, bring some new people. Like, I know that the hardcore fan base is very territorial. We've discussed it a zillion times on this podcast.
Well, I do want to say, to the credit of a lot of people, because the hardcore fan base, like everything, continues to grow. And there are people who, if we looked at this 5-6 years ago or whatever, that maybe weren't a part of the hardcore fan base then, but have become so more now. Like, maybe they just started going to shows back then. And I think that there are a lot of people like that who are starting to see, hey, this is really cool that we're seeing all these new faces. And they're remembering back, like, I was once one of these new faces. Like, this is really great. And now there's even more people who have discovered it. So, I think that's worth mentioning for them.
But what I'm saying is they can be very territorial.
Sure.
And Matt Cardona is an example of somebody who is an asset to potentially grow the company and bring new eyes, right?
Yeah.
Very polarizing, though, to some of the hardcore fans. Very, resented, in many ways. All we're trying to do is build up the rainy day fund again and get back to where, we can get these debts paid off and we can get things rolling again, because the train was rolling in 2019.
It was, yeah. I guess, so that's where I'd like to see us get back to, because when that train was rolling, then we could do more things. I talk about expanding the digital footprint. I think that we can grow and we can produce various things, and still it can reach people far beyond Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, with the thought of those people are going to not necessarily want to come to town for every show, but let's say instead of the Goldsteins traveling in for a show, right? It's 2 of them. What if we have 10 people at every show that are like the Goldsteins? They come in from the East Coast, and then you've got 4 people who come in from Michigan. You know what I mean? And they're not there necessarily for every show, but you get pockets of groups of people like that. But it's because we're doing so much more stuff.
And that's the plan. And and really that's the plan. And that's really about us getting locked back in. And I've said it before. I want to really test the benefits of Patreon and using that as a platform to produce more content and do more interactive things. And there's live stream options on Patreon and all these things that we can experiment with. And I think especially we're all we're coming out of the summer. There's snow on the ground today. Mm-hmm. I think that means for us, we are probably going to have a lot more time to get together again and iron things out and, really start throwing some ideas together to where we can reach more people and do the things that you're saying.
Yeah.
My whole thing is really about the touring and all that stuff. I have no desire to tour. I have, the build it and they will come mentality. I've always had, I had this talk with Bryce Remsburg 10 years ago. When we helped do a Chikara thing, like a double header thing in Cleveland. And, they were, running ragged, trying to tour and do all this stuff. And, he was just like, no, this is the idea. You have a home base. It's when we were, we had the exclusive lease on Turner's Hall, and, everyone knew, this is where you come for a show. And, from there, we moved that same mentality to Mount Carmel, and we grew even more. So I really, and there are benefits obviously to tour, right? But
sure,
there are expenses, and it does not. The touring does not work for my lifestyle. I just can't. I can't do it. I have a decent job that I cannot walk away from at this point.
Yeah.
But
so where people need to realize, and when I was saying like when I'm saying running it like a business, I mean potentially sort of part-time employees. So like there are a lot of things that I'm capable of doing, and I know that fans want us and want me to do them, within the structure of the company. But this is where the realistic stuff comes in. If you're not supporting us, a la Go for Broke. Go for Broke meant that I was not going back to actual work full time, and I was running low on funds, folks, like dangerously low, and but I committed to doing that, and that was 40, sometimes 50 hours a week of my time.
I'll say this about Go for Broke. Go for Broke kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, because all of these companies are doing this sponsor a match thing and all this other stuff, and everyone's getting set money, and people are running these shows. They don't have a fucking care in the world. They don't care if anybody buys a ticket. And we try to do this different thing, and produce this thing, and it's like fan supported. And I mean, and this is not a knock, because there were people that did send stuff,
yeah,
but I mean, it was not, when you're looking on,
when you're hearing what numbers are,
when you're looking
in,
looking at like blah blah blah, paid this much for this match on this show, and like we're get it, some guys are getting like $15, $5, like it's just, and that's, listen, I understand, like not everybody has it, right?
Yeah.
But it was a reality check for me that, like, hey, like, our footprint obviously does not go as far as I thought it did, right? Like, I thought that this would be a slam dunk, for all the performers. Like, I thought they were all going to do great, and they didn't. And a little resentful, towards us for, doing these, long tapings. And it didn't pay off for them, like... So, the Go for Broke thing really kind of put things in perspective for me, to be like, whoa, like, maybe I got to leave this bubble for a minute. And, we're not doing as, we're not as big as I thought, or we don't have the reach that I thought, like, and, it was disheartening, when you see all these, fan-sponsored shows that are bringing in a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And, you're bringing in, I don't know, like $100, like total.
Right.
Over 10 events. And there were people like Paul Greer and the Goldsteins that went above and beyond, right? And, a couple other people. The Goldsteins and Paul Greer went way above and beyond to kind of try to support us through the pandemic. But
and I will say, obviously, when you say $5, $10, I just want to clarify. What you mean there is that there are guys and gals from doing the show who only total got $5 or $10.
Correct.
We're not talking
like
about
$5 or $10 a person. We're talking total.
Like, because I know that there were people who did that, but gave $5 or $10, like 20 people. And
I thought Razor Sharp. I thought Razor Sharp was going to do great. He didn't. You know? Whiskers was pissed about it too.
Yeah.
But, that was just kind of a reality check for me. And I know that, we've gone all over the place on this podcast today, but, that was kind of my reality check as far as, well, let's pump the brakes on any sort of goal setting or, we're going to come out of the gate from the pandemic right where we were at, because that was just like, whoa, like, fuck, like what happened, like.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I can see AIW, the capability of it going places, but the reality is, more time invested.
It's only going as far as the fans are going to take us, though. Like,
yeah, and more time invested by everybody means like, okay, we're giving up time doing other things, which means we're giving up money. So like you know what I mean? It's just when you need the reality is you need that fair compensation. Yeah. If I have to sit here and work on AIW stuff, which folks I would love to do, it means that I can't go to work or, I'm not taking a stand-up gig or something that I get paid for. So I got to get paid somehow. And I would like to see us get to those parts where people who are involved in the behind-the-scenes process, it really is a thing where so many gears are starting to go that we can get some money off of it and use it as some form of a job.
Yeah, and from my perspective, like I used to have a lot more time, but I got a new job last October, and I've been doing 60-hour weeks, just like running ragged, and it's like even doing this podcast today, like I was like ready to fall asleep on the couch. I had to like force myself to come record this today because it's just like it's tough to go from job one to job two, and especially me, I have a lot of, I have a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross as far as, the weeks leading up to a show. And, when you're leaving work, you're kind of burnt on, punching in at job number two. You just kind of want to watch TV and, unwind from your actual work day like a normal person. Right. But it's like picking up another full-time job again. So it's like that question, earlier, like, hey, would you present the 8x10s on Patreon in advance? That made me realize that, fuck, I have to order the 8x10s still. There's just a lot of things that, people don't think about. Like it takes a tremendous amount of time. And, we do have a good, team. I am good at delegating, but, I'm also delegating. There's no, it's a labor of love, so to speak, nobody's getting paid unless, it's the show day, like all the other stuff is kind of, pro bono, so to speak. Myself included, I don't get anything, leading up or on the show day. So the promoter is the only one leaving with no money. So, it's a tough gig. And I'm not complaining. I love it. It's given me incredible memories. But, and I don't care. Like, I personally, I don't care about getting paid. But, other people do. So, as discussed on this podcast. Yeah. So it's like, it's tough to grow because you need a team to grow. So I don't know, like that goals question has really taken us down a fucking rabbit hole here.
It did, yeah. It's good conversation.
It is, it's tough, but my goals always remain the same. Stay in business, by any means necessary. And, we survived the pandemic. We took the hit, of a lot of, the bills and all that stuff and not running events. Now I want to get back on track and get things rolling, Mm-hmm. And then, maybe we can give some holiday bonuses or something.
There you go, folks.
Jelly of the Month Club for the Guy family.
Was Jelly of the Month Club? No. Keep the Change of Filthy Animals was my first show.
Jelly of the Month Club was the first show in Mount Carmel, I think.
Is that... No. Jelly... I don't know. No, because I ring announced Jelly of the Month Club, I think. I think that was like a year after I had started. I think
Keep the Change of Filthy Animal, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, December is my 6-year anniversary. 2015.
Wow,
I think,
time is
right?
flying.
Yeah, 2015 was the first year. December 2015 is when I ring announced for the first time.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. Well, any final thoughts, Jonathan?
R.I.P. Glenn Moore. That's my final thought. I'm sure
Allegedly.
I'm sure he's alive out there somewhere.
It's in Jerry's house. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean
That was it. That was the final thought.
I got a lot of thoughts out today. This is therapy session.
This is good for you. Cool. Well, hey folks,
my final thought is sign up to that Patreon again. We're gonna listen to those new podcasts that we released last week. Let us know what you want to see on there. Get engaged in the Discord. Very interactive. I love riling up the residents of Brook Park, Ohio in there. But
he doesn't listen to this, so.
But if we're gonna grow, we need your support, and I know I say it a lot, and it's a broken record. But we are as legitimate as being an independent wrestling company as there is.
Yeah.
There's no sponsors, there's no backing, there's no investing, there's nothing.
Right.
It is, we live and die by fan support. That's it.
Yeah.
And some independents, are doing better than others, right? That's the name of the game. But every independent needs your support, or else they're not gonna, and I know you can't support them all, but I'm just saying you can't. Independent wrestling cannot exist without fan support. That's just the reality of it.
100%. There you go. We're going to leave it right there, folks. So come on out to Hell on Earth. You have under 2 weeks. Grab your tickets, bring your chairs, and we will hopefully see you in Eastlake, Ohio on Black Friday, day after turkey.
I'm more of a mashed potato sandwich guy.
Yeah, that's your thing. For AIW owner John Thorne, my name is Steve Guy. We will talk to you next week right here on The Card is Going to Change.